Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wrestling Podcast. Today is a War Games special. It happened for us last night, which was for you on Sunday morning, Monday morning, Sunday evening for everyone. What we're going to do is this is just a dedicated episode for War Games. There was a lot that happened. There's a lot to discuss. So we're going to dedicate that next week. We will review the past 2 weeks of Raw and SmackDown and anything else that goes in the world of wrestling. Sting returning to wrestling and going in AEW. Why? And we'll be discussing that. And we will go forward for that. But please don't forget that on the top right, if you're on the YouTube and you're watching this there, click the subscribe button. If you are next to the subscribe button, there is a bell. Go and click on that bell, and that will give you instant notification for when one of our videos go live. Also, at the same time, if you're watching us on, listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, don't forget to give us a follow, and SoundCloud as well. Also, in the descriptions to all of our videos and where you can listen to them as well, in the description down below is a link to all of our social media pages. Please go and give us a follow. We've just hit over 300 followers on Twitter, so thank you so much. We're nearly over 200 followers, which is my aim by the end of the year, to get over 200 followers on Instagram. We've only been doing it 4 months, and you guys have shown us a lot of love, and we've got a lot of stuff coming for you guys over the Christmas period and New Year's as well. There might be some podcasts that take a break because family, but we will return with some of them after the new year. But we will see. We might still do stuff. We might pre-record a lot of our stuff so that over the Christmas period, you still have stuff to listen to or stuff to watch, but we will do it in short episodes. So you lot can spend as much time as you can with your family over this Christmas period. If you are suffering, if there is anything that you guys are struggling with, don't forget my DMs are open on the Robbos Gobcast, and I'm happy to talk to you and help you in any way that I can possibly can. So don't ever feel like you're alone. Don't ever feel like you're struggling through this by yourself. You're not, and do not quit. We are here for you. Right. Let's get into it. NXT Takeover. We did our predictions beforehand. Before I hand over to my good friend Gulam, I want to run through you guys the predictions that we predicted before, and then we will go in by match and tell you why a certain someone is the biggest loser known to man. So the UE versus the Pat McAfee team. We both went for Pat McAfee, Pete Dunne team. It was Chauncey Blackheart team versus Candice LeRae. Gulam went for Chauncey Blackheart. I went for Candice LeRae. Timothy Thatcher versus Tommaso Ciampa. Gulam went for Timothy Thatcher. I went for Tommaso Ciampa. We both went for Leon Ruff in the triple threat match between Leon Ruff, Johnny Wrestling, and the Priestinator. And we both went for Dexter Lumis against Cameron Grimes to the moon. So that was actually fucking good impression.
Yeah, it was all right. I'm not gonna lie.
That was really good. I might be a Cameron Grimes impersonator. Not that I get much money out of that, but let's go through it.
Give him a few more years, you might be lucky.
Exactly. So let's kick off with the women's War Games match, which kicked off the show, and in that was Candice LeRae, Toni Storm, Dakota Kai, and Raquel Gonzalez versus Chauncey Blackheart, Io Shirai, Ember Moon, and Rhea Ripley. What were your thoughts on the match?
Man, it wasn't. Yeah, I liked it. It was a great match. You know, it was a lot more than I even expected. You know, yeah, we've already seen quite a lot of crazy things happen on NXT when it comes to these sort of matches. So I think the first thing that comes to your mind is what are they going to do to top off what they've done before.
Yeah,
and I think, I mean, like for me, what impressed me the most was that. I mean, at first it was the typical, the usual, you know, the tables and the tables and the chairs. But what really caught me off guard was when it was Io who brought in the ladders. I was like, this is something different for a change.
mm-hmm. Io also then decided to stand on top of the war zone, put
Mhm.
a trash can, as they call it, a
Yeah.
bin, over the top of their head, and then go, fuck it in a bucket, let's jump. Which for me was probably the highlight of that match, which was epic.
Even I was quite impressed by that. I mean, yeah, I thought it was a crazy match, like overall, and I don't think anything really lost my interest in that match. I think
There was one person for me that really stood out. And for me, I think, and I saw an article, or I can't remember who I saw someone say it, that NXT has the best women's division in the whole of professional wrestling,
no question.
and I think that's correct. And for me, Raquel Gonzalez
Yep,
is the next NXT Women's Champion.
I'm happy to say I've seen her come a long way from when she started. Like before, when she was going by her real name, Reina Gonzalez. I was like the way they brought her in, she was just like a typical, typical heel, but so generic. I remember she had a bit of I didn't like the outfit they brought her in, and she was throwing a bull rope around, and it just looked like she was trying to be, some old school type, kind of thing. And like, to see her revamp the way she has and really up her game ever since, I think she's a lot better now compared to when she started.
Mm-hmm.
Hell of a lot better now. I think she pulled out quite a lot as well. I think Io was top notch as well. I also think that if anyone doesn't get enough credit for that match, I think I'd pick up Tony on that one as well. I think Tony really stepped up her game in the match, and showed that she should be in the main event for that matter. So I think Tony's definitely someone that impressed me the most. I'm going to be honest
See,
with
I
you.
wasn't that impressed with Tony Storm.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Because what I think, when I've watched Tony Storm live and when I've seen her, she has a lot more in her arsenal that I think she should have used and maybe could have used in that match. And what I found as well was there were certain points in that match where with the normal heel movement, they sort of cower and get scared of the big scary face coming towards. Where Tony Storm doesn't need to do that. She's very much the one where she can do little things here and there, but she doesn't need to cower behind things. And I saw a bit too much of her. And Candice LeRae, I can understand because what she's doing for me, for her character, is excellent. And for me, for Tony Storm, she needs to tweak that a bit and not be the scared heel. She needs to be the one of, oh, no, no, no. And then do like an eye poke or do something that catches the opponent off guard and not just be the. But I feel she did well, but Raquel Gonzalez really does look like the next, especially that ending where she basically
Yeah,
power
sorry.
bombed Io Shirai through a ladder to win it.
Yeah, that bit was that bit even I was caught off guard with, to be honest. Now, I'll say to me, the only person I don't think that really interested me in that match at all, because I've kind of lost interest in her to begin with, is Candice LeRae. I kind of, I mean, in all honesty, I forgot she was even in it, even though it was her team.
I really like Candice LeRae. I
I
think
like
what she does, and I think the way that she plays her character of someone who needs an interference or needs someone by her side to
No,
win.
I don't quite buy that, to be honest. I
Oh
think
yeah, you could tell because if you look at all the women, let's look at all the women in that match. Ember Moon, former NXT Women's Champion, probably one of the most underrated women's wrestlers there is going. I think Rhea Ripley, one of the strongest, powerful women going. I tell you what, Chauncey Blackheart, I really love. I'm starting to really fall in love with, and she is. Oh, I'm beginning to fall in love with her.
I felt bad that Indy Hartwell wasn't in it. I think she could have had a great performance in that match.
Yeah, I think there's a few people, but the NXT roster, especially for the women, and the men is now starting to build up a little bit more now. But the women's roster is stacked. You've got people that are coming in. You've got people that are out injured. You've got people that are there. It's just absolutely amazing.
I can think of a few women I wish that would get some TV time already and go and get. I know one of them is being used on TV. Her name's Santana Garrett. She's been on a few times and she's been used as enhancement talent. And like, I don't know that well, but from the stuff I've seen, she should be really like in the mix for at least for the tag team titles, or at least even the women's title for that matter. which is one of them. Like, but I'm hoping they use some more, seasoned people like that at some point. But time will tell.
So let's go on to the next match. We had Dexter Lumis versus Camera Gams to the moon. I'm gonna do that a lot more fucking more now because I know I can do it. I tell you what, I like Cameron Grimes. I
Same
really
here.
do like Cameron Grimes. I think he's an excellent wrestler, and he is definitely a North American champion / mid card wrestler at the moment who can put on a show. I think with anyone, but Dexter Lumis is just so good. I love his character. I love the way he is. I love the way he wrestles. And do you know what? I was sat there watching Dexter Lumis versus Cameron Gams, watching it, and I was thinking, what if you had in the future? It's going to be a while. Dexter Lumis, the Fiend.
Man, that'll be a crazy match. I can imagine the
My God, do you know what would be even better? Would be the build up, because it would be so creepy and so out there that it would be, I think. I was sat there thinking after the match. I tell you what, there's one match I would love to see Dexter Lumis in, and that is against the Fiend, and that would be.
I don't know if you saw my tweet. Did you see my tweet about it?
I haven't. Sorry.
Yeah, I tweeted before the match when I saw Dexter make his entrance. I was like, if he was around like 10 years earlier, like back in the day, I could imagine him he would have had some great feuds with the likes of the Boogeyman and
Undertaker. Yeah.
He would have had some crazy matches. You know what I mean? I see guys like him and it's like, what if, because back then when we were watching it, there wasn't that many of those sort of characters around,
No. But I feel like he's got this character that can either be NXT champion or North American champion, and he doesn't have to talk. He hasn't spoken. I don't think he's actually spoken once.
He's spoken on the when you I've seen him speak on the, what do you call it, what's that thing where you can speak to you send a message to your face to them and then they reply back on that video or something.
Cameo.
Yeah, cameo. I've seen him do a cameo, so he does.
I mean, like in NXT,
I'm saying I've seen him.
He's one of those that just doesn't need to talk. His facial expressions and everything about him just.
This might be a bit of an ambiguous question. How do you think he'd work on the main roster?
I think he would struggle to start off with. I think because if we look at people that have done that type of character before, like Aleister Black, I'm not saying that I'm not saying they're the same type of player, wrestlers or anything, but I'm thinking like the style, the out there character, they struggle with it. But I think he would thrive as well at the same time.
He'd be the perfect kind of like the perfect answer for the Bray Wyatt character at this point. He'd be the perfect answer for him right now.
Do you know what? I wouldn't even put him as like a opponent to the Fiend. He would slot in as a tag or a partner for Bray Wyatt, because he can turn that craziness, and them two can literally run crazy over Raw and SmackDown until when it gets to a point where Lumis outgrows it and then they do some crazy shit. And I could see him doing excellent against Keith Lee. I could see him doing really well with AJ Styles, Matt Riddle as well. Looking at the SmackDown side, Roman Reigns looks like he can have a fight with a wooden stick and still look like an absolute beast during it. So for me, go on.
What about Baron Corbin?
I think it would work. I like Baron Corbin.
I like Baron Corbin as well. I just want to see your reaction.
No, I like Baron Corbin, and I think Baron Corbin would, for Dexter Lumis, I wouldn't put Baron Corbin with him straight away, because Baron Corbin seems to be the wrestler that if you go up, you face Baron Corbin or someone like that, you need to or Dolph Ziggler. It's always one of them four that you.
I'd rather be Dolph than Baron or someone like that. Go from Dolph first, because Dolph to me is the perfect. I've said it numerous times. If you want to make a guy into a star, okay, it didn't work out for Shinsuke as much because that was a bit of a crap one. But everyone else who's ever worked with Dolph in their first match always seems to have a crazy one, like Keith Lee, for example.
And I think it's going to be. I think Dexter Lumis is going to push forward, but it won't be for a while, because if we remember, we saw a vignette of the Falcon set on the branch, and it's TikTok, and it looks like it's going to be old It don't fucking matter. It's a fucking bird. It looks like Karen Cross or Killer Cross, however you want to fucking call it, because it said TikTok at the end will be returning very soon, and I cannot wait because I absolutely fucking love him.
He liked my picture.
Which picture?
I posted that tweet earlier where I got my, my new delivery.
I'm going on your Twitter now. Okay, right. Let's go on to the next match, which was Tommaso Ciampa versus who the fuck was it? Yeah, Timothy Thatcher. What did you make of that match?
It was like, for me, it was too. For me, I said it myself. Who was the craziest psycho out of them two? Okay, just hold it 1 second. I'm on the phone.
Yep.
Yep.
So, and we're back. So, let's talk about Tommaso Ciampa versus Timothy Thatcher. When I was thinking about this match, it turned out better than I expected, by far.
I thought it was a great match. I'm gonna say this because I said this in my tweets as well. I don't know about you, but I do get a bit uneasy whenever I see Ciampa or even Daniel Bryan for that matter taking some bumps in the ring,
especially on their neck.
Especially on that neck, because that's the part where I turn around and say, I don't care how strong you are. You can say that you're tough and everything, and that you're in the best shape of your life and everything. If you've had years of injuries to your neck, your back, your leg, your shoulders, your arms, every single part of your body, I don't care if you've recovered from it. The pain can easily come back, and it can build up and come back worse.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And that was one of the things. But I think also at the same time, it brings that emotion out of you like it did just for you then when you said you don't like it, where you go, oh, no, not the neck. Oh, no. But I think they did it. I think they did it in a way that protected it as well at the same time. I
agree with that. The thing is, I know that a guy like Ciampa and Bryan is the kind of guy that will just try and fight off the pain and make it out like there's no problem, even though there is one. That's the thing which I'm trying to say is that, what I mean? I think that you have to be a little bit smart before you go for some spots in the ring. And the thing is, though, it causes confusion. I can see it causing confusion as well for some guys, even no matter how experienced they are, like a Timothy Thatcher, because he might not know if this guy's just selling it,
But, yeah, and I agree with you. But before we carry on, I just forgot that we need to recap that during the Team Chauncey versus Team Candice, as we said, I put Team Candice, so that put me 1-0 up because the loser over there got it wrong. The second match that we talked about was Dexter Lumis versus Cameron Grimes to the moon. We both picked Dexter Lumis, so at this moment it is 2-1 to myself for it. But
1-0 at that point because you just mentioned two matches.
Well, one will be 2-1 because we both get a point for getting them both right. So it's 2-1 now.
Yep.
So now going into this match, you said Timothy Thatcher would win. I put Tommaso Ciampa, and it was very much the hard-hitting wrestling and Timothy Thatcher type match that I think
can.
Yeah,
well, I can't say it now.
And I think even though he lost, he still elevated himself to a point where he's believable on beating anyone.
I think I've said it before myself. I think Timothy Thatcher would be a great Paul Heyman guy for starters.
Mm-hmm.
I think, in my opinion, he's one of the best, ground, technical wrestlers with his own style. Combines that brawling, he has a brawling style to it as well. And he's basically like that rough around the edges kind of guy we haven't seen in a while, which I like. I think the problem which I have with him right now, not him, but it's his booking, to be honest. I don't know how I feel about him losing quite a lot of matches lately.
Mm-hmm.
I think he needed that win more than Ciampa did, to be honest. And if he had got it, it would have made Ciampa look like, there's something other, and it adds more to Ciampa's story as well. It makes you wonder if Ciampa's not the same guy, feeling the same again, which he's basically been already.
Because, I agree with that to a certain point. I think I get that point.
You have to be honest though. Ciampa came back as a heel, then all of a sudden he starts turning face again. I just don't get that. I mean, it's like I don't quite get how he went from a heel to a face like that quickly. I think he should have stayed heel really when he came back. But obviously they put him with Velveteen Dream, who's already in the shit house with some people. So I think that was easier for him to get. It was easy for them to pick Ciampa over Dream. But I'm saying that if in that case they should have kept Ciampa away from Dream, to keep Ciampa a heel, you know. So my point is that I think Ciampa really should be a heel at this point rather than a face. I'm not saying he's a good face. I'm just saying I find it a bit confusing that's
Yeah, no, I agree with you to a certain point,
like
but
a Big Show effect.
yeah, but for me, I think it. So the way that I can see them booking it is right. So Ciampa's now. So Timothy Thatcher's now lost to a bloke that wanted to fight him, and Timothy Thatcher didn't want to fight him. Now Thatcher wants to fight him. Now Thatcher will find a way of beating him. So there's obviously this feud's going to carry on because of the way it ended and the way them two were staring each other at the end. And
Yeah,
as we know, Ciampa won, which now makes me 3-1 up overall. So and I think it really does it extends this feud a little bit longer to build extra character onto Timothy Thatcher, but also gives a little bit of how Thatcher worked the neck, a little bit of a layer to Tommaso Ciampa's character, where that neck is still not the way it was, and you can tell that they really worked on that to get a point across that Ciampa is not where he used to be.
here's a quick question. So Ciampa and Thatcher, this question for both of them. Who would you pick on the main roster to face them if you had the chance? First person that comes to your mind.
Oh, Tommaso Ciampa, anyone. Kevin Owens, I think.
Okay. And Thatcher?
Thatcher could do really good work with Roman Reigns.
That's what I was going to say. We both think alike.
I think he could do real work with with Roman Reigns' intensity and Thatcher's wrestling-esque. He could really add a layer either to Roman Reigns or it could add a layer to Timothy Thatcher's
I can actually see.
arsenal of it as well.
I can actually see Thatcher bringing out a more submission side out of Roman because we've already seen him use the guillotine chokehold. So I can imagine him being the reason why he starts being a bit more submissive in the ring. But yeah, I was going to say, so yeah, I'd like to see Roman versus Thatcher. Now for Ciampa, I would like to see the first person that always comes to my mind when it comes to Ciampa is Randy Orton.
Oh,
That's the guy I'd love to see him face.
Yeah.
Like they already teased it last year at Survivor Series. I was just like, wow, we'll kind of like imagine what feud these guys would have. And I know about Randy wants that match as well, so I'd love to see it happen some point.
I'd love Randy to have 6 months in NXT.
I've said that before. I think we've said that before. I would love to see Randy have a run on NXT for a bit. It doesn't have to be a full-time run either. He can just go back and forth when he wants to because he's Randy freaking Orton. And he can just show up when he wants to and just pick who he wants to wrestle and then, have a feud there and see how it goes. And, I'd love to, I just want to see how he interacts with not just the NXT guys, but the NXT fans as well. I want to see what he can do with them.
I reckon he would be the best one to take the piss out of them, where I think he always goes ... dive, ... dive, splash, and that bit with that.
This might be a bit underrated, but I don't know about you, but I liked it when JBL was manager at one point for NXT. Because I think having a heel manager is good to see how how a heel manager can interact with the fans because we see how much Rio gets love from the fans. I like to see someone who can just stick it back to the fans every now and then.
Exactly. Let's move on.
Yeah, sure.
Damian Priest, Leon Ruff, Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Gargano, Johnny Takeover.
Johnny same face.
Johnny wins every takeover he's in, apart from Andrade Cien Almas.
Johnny Borgano.
I think this match, the way of the storyline to this match and the way that they did it, I wouldn't say it was perfect, but what I would say was it was bang on how they did the match.
It was a crazy match. I liked it. Obviously, we all know how I feel about Damian Priest. He's my favorite guy. I was expecting Leon to get the big win as well, seeing it was his first title defense. Excuse me, first title defense. But then, like later on, they had to introduce that they're going to bring the ghost faces involved in it, which I knew was going to happen at some point. So, I think that both guys brought the A game. While I'm not a big fan of Johnny Gargano right now. I've never said he's not a good wrestler. He's a hell of a wrestler. I just find his character boring. was I going to say? Yeah, I think the match was good. Was good overall. It was a great match. It showed Leon Ruff as a fighter. You know, especially. I think I think Damian Priest, in my opinion, should really be above that, you know, above that feud, and you know, be moving on to bigger things, because he literally like dominated a lot of that match for a bit. So, you know, I think that feud really should just come. Well, I know it's not going to come to an end, because I know that we all know the big reveal by now. Austin Theory was involved in it, my guy, and I think that feud's going to carry on until like the end, until probably just like even before like the end of the year. Probably they're going to keep going on for a bit more with that one.
Yeah, and for me, I thought that match was the way that Damian Priest, or Proust, as I think sometimes he's called, or however you want to say,
Damian Priest.
When he goes to Raw or SmackDown, he'll just be called Priest. When he
How dare you?
Yeah, when he raised Edge, Johnny straight into the barricade, I think, and the way that he played that role of shit, I shouldn't have done that. I'm very sorry, I shouldn't have done that, was spot on. And then Johnny then took over, and then Ruff, when he come back and he started fighting, and then the faces come out, the 25 of them, I think at one point there was, coming out to the show, and he turned into and that's the first time that I believed myself that I believed that Damian Priest is a beast, was in that match. Was the first time that I really got sold on him being a animal in that ring, was during that match, because of the way that he attacks everyone, the way that he did his moves, the way that he could fly through the air. Everything about what he did was, for me, spot on.
I've said it myself. Like, I've seen this guy's matches, you know, before he came WWE, when he was Punishment Martinez. I've seen him wrestling small guys as well before, when he was in ROH, Ring of Honor, and he like, for me, he's the kind of guy that can work with just about anyone you put him with.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't really surprise me how he performed in that match. And I think that, you know, from moving on from just being a monster guy to being a more, you know, rock star type kind of character, I think that's kind of helped him in a way, just, you know, from just being the typical big, you know, guy that just likes to run people down. And I think he's, you know, since he's been able to show more personality, you know, he's able to, what's the word I'm trying to look for?
Build on his character, I
think. Basically, I think since he's been able to show more character, you know, he's not just...
He's elevated himself.
He's elevated himself a lot. And he's not, you know, he's able to, he doesn't have to no-sell, basically, a move to look dominant. That's what I'm trying to say.
And that's the one thing I was very impressed with, is I get so for me, I don't watch what's outside of, and I don't that often watch what's outside of NXT or anything like that. So my judgment is reserved to what they do when they're in NXT or in Raw or in SmackDown. I don't listen to like New Japan, or I don't because I want to see what they do in front of me, and I want to see what they build growing in front of me. So for me, Johnny Gargano is just, at the moment, the way that he's going to help Austin Theory to push himself to the next level and bring a new layer of character to Austin Theory, I think is perfect combination for them both. I think this loss to Leon Ruff is going to, and I'm starting to get sold on Leon Ruff a lot more as well. So I'm hoping to see him a lot more. This cell will be able to maybe build a new character, because you could see him, these moves and way he was doing was slowly beginning to go up and up, with harder moves, more moves that would dominate you to hurt someone, not just the fancy flying stuff was getting it. And Damian Priest just looked like an absolute beast. So moving forward, we could see Priest.
There's another question on that.
Yeah, go on.
Who would you like? So just like I said before, from those three guys, who would you like to see them face in the main roster one day?
Leon Ruff would be someone like Rey Mysterio. Ricochet, I could really. Mustafa Ali as well could be a great match. Damian Priest, maybe someone like Braun Strowman, Keith Lee, and maybe someone a bit like a Baron Corbin type of pair. Johnny Gargano, Randy Orton.
Fair enough.
I could see Johnny being really high up there. I would love to see Johnny Gargano versus AJ Styles.
Yeah, I'll give you my choice as well. So for me, when it comes to the first person in mind when it comes to Gargano, it will definitely be Seth Rollins. I think them two
Mhm.
are a match that should have happened. Should have happened by now. For Leon Ruff, instantly the first guy that comes to my mind is Rey Mysterio. But I have to be fair, Rey's not a young guy himself. So if I'm going to pick somebody younger to elevate to work with him, would be Ricochet. And as for Priest, I could put with anyone, but I think the first guy that comes to my mind would be Roman Reigns.
Mhm. Yeah, and I do think that that all three of them could really thrive no matter where they go. Right, last match of the night, the main event, the most brutal match of the night, which for me was probably the best War Games match we've had since its comeback of all time. I think we've had some good spots, some good things, but this was excellent. The UE versus Pat McAfee team, it had everything, didn't it? It had brutal spots, it had
Mm.
excellent wrestling, it had
Do you think he
revenge,
needed blood?
it had well, not blood.
No, do you think he needed it?
No, I don't think it did. There's some
That's the thing.
matches that really do need it, but I don't think this was one of them. Maybe if Adam Cole busted open Pat McAfee, I'd get that. But
That
apart from that,
we didn't mention that. I just remember we didn't mention about the Champa match with Tim Thatcher because that bleeding was
yeah,
like,
that was brutal.
yeah.
That made me feel ill when I saw that. I was like, "Ah,
I,
fucking hell."
I actually liked it because I think that added more interest to the
It
match.
did.
Yeah.
So we had Pete Dunne
Mm.
versus Kyle O'Reilly,
Yeah.
starting off, and for me, two of the wrestlers that can now, well, Kyle O'Reilly really showed against Finn Balor, however you want to, different
Balor.
people say it different ways. He can be NXT or a singles champion. And them two really did prove at the end of that match, and Bobby Fish as well. You can't sleep on Bobby Fish and Roderick
I
Strong.
like I like Fish as well. The problem with Fish will always be is that he's pretty much the he's not exactly getting any younger every day. Let's put it that way.
He's
If
not
someone,
getting younger. He's the injury prone out of all of them.
that's my point as well. That's the problem which will always hold him back. That's what really worries me if they ever go to the main roster. Is I can imagine him coming in there for like just give them get them into the ring and then just say goodbye and thank you for everything that carrying on his way. That's the thing which I can imagine happening one day. Because the sad truth is that he's not exactly he kind of came in a bit I mean a year or two later maybe.
Yeah,
Um,
I think, but at the same time, I think
but
they.
then again, I say that, but look at Bobby Roode as well. He's probably about the same age as well. So I'm not, I mean, I'm not trying to slander him, but I'm just being honest, being, having to be.
I'll tell you what, Pat always, every time he steps foot in a ring, there's always people that go, he's not a wrestler, he's not a trained wrestler, he shouldn't be in a WWE ring, he shouldn't be in a wrestling ring.
Yeah, yeah.
But every time he stepped in foot twice now, but every time he stepped foot in, one, he's never done anything wrong in that ring to seriously hurt anyone. He's always really protective over the other, like with Adam Cole, very protective and make sure that and also he makes the biggest bumps and he takes them
Mate,
so well.
that one we did off the top of the cage, even I was like, wow, I don't
Mm.
know what this. I think,
Off the top rope through the table.
yeah, I mean, I was like, even I was shocked as well when he did that because no, not top rope when he was at the top of the cage.
Ah, right. Oh,
He did
yeah,
that
I know we bet.
thing. Even I was like, he's probably like the first guy who's a guest. He's basically at one point just a guest. Has really gone from being a guest to really doing some crazy spots. So yeah, I mean, I think it's crazy when I mean, I remember that Gronk guy did something like that as well when they were doing Mania. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
But my point is that like it's crazy to see how many guys have upped their game since being I mean being in the ring.
The only thing that disappointed me with that match was um, how only Lorcan is very well known for being a very violent, just throwing stuff at the wall type of
Yeah,
person. I don't think he did enough in that match to sort of go to me like a few years ago. The first thing in a match with Kenta or Hideo Itami was he did a running uppercut and broke Kenta's nose within the first 3 seconds of the match.
When
And
was that?
this was a few years ago, and I remember that slowly they had to stop the match. They had to get Kenta out, patch him up, and then bring him back in. And then he got a few times where he's uppercuts, kicked someone, knocked someone, did something. But in that match, I didn't think him and Danny Burch is a very violent man as well. And I didn't think them two were violent, and that sounds really weird to say. Didn't really show that I can break your fucking face if I want to. I don't think they did that enough.
I mean, I was gonna say I don't think Danny got to deliver that much as well, like he usually. I mean, he did that thing with the cricket. He did that thing with the cricket bats, and that made me laugh a little bit. I'm not even a cricket fan for a starter, but yeah, when he brought the cricket bats in and then started whacking people with it, and then Wade Barrett tried. The commentary tried tried talking about some American baseball, and Wade Barrett corrected him with Andy Flintoff.
Yeah. Oh, I pissed myself at that, and he went, "Oh, he's done this." He went, "No, Andrew Flintoff, mate," and like that, and I went, "Yes, Wade Barrett, you are a god."
Yeah, thank God we have Wade on commentary.
Do you know what? I'm so impressed with Wade Barrett. I know Nigel McGuinness has now moved to NXT UK.
I honestly think Nigel McGuinness never got enough credit for his commentary.
No, I love Nigel McGuinness. Absolutely love him.
He was top notch. It's easy. The thing is, though, it's easy to get overshadowed when you've got Mauro Ranallo on commentary.
Yeah.
Mauro was great on commentary as well, but there were times as well when he'd say some stuff which I thought was a little OTT as well.
Oh, do you know what? I love the over the top stuff. I found it more enticing to do. And do you know what? I really love, right, the dynamic at the moment with commentators in WWE in total, right? So I'm going to go through it, and then we'll go back to the finish of the match, right? I love NXT UK. You've got fuck is his name? Nigel McGuinness, and you've got Andy Shepherd. Excellent combination for them. Andy Shepherd is excellent on the mic, and Nigel McGuinness just knows his shit. Then you've got NXT, you've got Stu Bennett or Wade Barrett, you've got Vic Joseph, who I love. I love Vic Joseph. And Beth Phoenix, who I think is excellent by the way that she sells moves and the way that she talks about moves as well. It's excellent. Raw, you've got Tom Phillips, Byron Saxton, and Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe brings you that believability. If a move is going to kill someone or hurt someone, and he goes, "Oh my God," you go, "Okay, if Samoa Joe thinks that's going to hurt someone, that's going to hurt someone." Because you've got SmackDown, who you've got Michael Cole and Corey Graves, Mr. Pisser, on there as well, who I think Corey Graves is going to go down as one of the best color commentators, probably since Jerry Lawler back in the Attitude Era, and maybe Taz as well.
I've been a fan of Corey for a long time, so I don't even have it. I've never had
I love Corey Graves in NXT. I loved him when he was in there as well. So for me, I've loved Corey Graves all the way through.
It always baffles me, but he never got to have got to have a singles run, and I feel like he could have really been at least okay, he probably would never have been a great stop. I think he would have reached some stardom.
It was injuries that prevented him, though, wasn't it? It was his neck and his head that stopped him.
Yeah, I'm saying that if it didn't happen, I reckon he could have at least been a US champion.
He could have really gone on to be something with a wrestler.
But yeah, what I will say is that the question I want to ask you on that is things you want to talk about commentators. Somebody used to get criticized quite a lot for her commentary. Renee Young. What did you think of her?
I love Renee Young. She brought that fan believability to it because she was a fan at first and foremost. She is a wrestling fan when she first did it, but she's also a very good. Huh?
So why do you think she got so much heat then?
Because she's a woman.
Okay.
Well, I'm not going to dance around the fact. With majority of Beth Phoenix gets a bit of heat that sometimes because she's a woman.
Renee was constantly berated by fans online.
Oh, well, they're going to, because one is a woman in a main roster role. It's one of those modern day things where I'm going to get political here, and I'm going to get.
I'm afraid
I'm going to do this. Is the way that I see it is if you're a woman, it's a bit like football. When there's a women commentator like Alex Scott, she gets berated by football fans because of her knowledge, because she's so good at her job. and because she's so much better than the lots of male pundits, she gets shit because of that. You look at
Just 1 second, mate. You have to pause it, but yeah.
So yeah, so okay, so the reason why I think she got berated by fans was, I think, because she brought that natural fan element, but actually she was a woman, and because she was better than some of the half of the male presenters that's going as well. So there's always that male dominance that the women shouldn't do better than men, which is complete utter bullshit.
Yeah, 100%.
So for me, I think Renee Young got a lot of hard stick for no reason.
I think Renee is good on commentary as well, but even she herself said that she was never really trained for that kind of role as well. So in her defense, which is understandable. I don't think she was bad as people made her out to be. I don't think she was great either, but I think she was a good enough commentator, and I think she was fine. She had a good enough voice for commentary. I think it's just easier to pick on someone when they're not qualified for the not quite qualified for it.
Exactly.
And
so yes,
I think she was good, but not obviously not as bad. And I think she was good, but she wasn't bad either.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Right, and at the end we saw I think it was only Lorcan or Danny Birch got pinned.
Yeah.
For that, so they lost. So which made it overall, I won 3-1. Overall, because we both guessed it wrong, and we are now 1-1 in pay-per-view guessing. We have one pay-per-view left this year. We have TLC. We've got and the prediction, we will do that. Right, so I recorded a Formula One podcast, which will be out for you guys tomorrow. In that, we did a forfeit for the loser. So whoever loses the overall gets to do it. What we're going to do is the same sort of thing tomorrow, which you guys can check it out, is whoever loses overall has to do a video and put it onto this channel on the day of when we record the next video, has to do a video explaining in 3 to 5 minute video why the other person is the greatest person to ever live.
The hell?
If it's a draw, and we draw overall, and we draw all over, I will put a poll on Twitter. Whoever wins that poll throughout that day is the winner overall, and the loser still has to do a video to say why the other person is the greatest person to, 1, ever exist, 2, ever do a podcast, and 3, to ever do in wrestling.
Can't lose that one, can I?
Nope. So I think if my maths is correct, I'm just gonna, well, when I say maths, I mean calendar is correct. Next week, yes. So the TLC pay-per-view is the 20th of December, which means which is not this Sunday, is next Sunday, which means next week we will be doing our predictions for TLC, and we will be doing a review over Raw and SmackDown, what we think of it as well. But we will be doing our predictions for TLC, and you can hear it, and and you guys could decide who you think will win. From that. So yeah, next week will be the predictions for TLC and Raw, and we will discuss Raw SmackDown. But thank you guys ever so much for joining. It was a fantastic episode. It was a great match, a great pay-per-view last night. So much entertainment, so much stuff going on. But we will see you guys next week to see who predicts the best. Not only that, the week after, who will be doing the video to say they are the greatest. I think that's all what we want to know. Is we all know that we're going to pop up a video and see your face explaining why I, Mark Robson, the greatest man that's ever come out of Reading since Ricky Gervais, has graced this podcast platforms to be the greatest man that's ever lived. And out of Tommaso Ciampa, I'll give myself a fucking pat on the back, because I am the greatest. And do you know what? I'm not even going to be a babyface about it. I am the greatest heel in podcast history, and Gulam is the worst. He is like all you marks out there that record podcasts and talk about it on the internet and tweet about us. You lot suck dick. Even though I am one of them that does it.
Did you practice that in the mirror or something?
No, I just did that on the fly. I am that good at promos. So.
Freestyling, eh? Oh, okay, yeah, cool. Well, we'll see who wins next week, and we'll be seeing who sucks dick at the same time.
All right, John Cena. Let's see how we go. All right, everyone. Peace, love, and care, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.
Woo!